Capricorn, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there as well, which will offer you a more complete picture. Okay, my friends, let's get started. What is the current energy around Capricorn for the week ahead? Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead. Let's see here. Got lots of messages here, Capricorn. Bottom of the deck is serendipity, so I feel like things may feel a little out of sorts based on the other cards I'm seeing here, but that things are moving towards your highest good. And I say that with an understanding that it might not feel like that. You know, sometimes when things are moving towards our highest good, it comes in a way that is like, really? This is for my highest good? And it can be moments like this where we have to really trust that our higher power is guiding us for and towards our highest good. There may be a need for some flexibility here. There may be a need to really focus on feeling calm as you move through this week. I feel like you're going to need to really breathe through some stuff that is shifting outside of your control. And you may feel even like things are falling apart. Looking at your cards here, Capricorn, I feel like there is an immense amount of shift going on right now for you. You know, and it's interesting because when you think about what happens when we want to change our lives, even just that phrase, I want to change my life, suggests that a lot of things need to change, you know, and that may seem obvious because you're like, well, I just said that. But if things change in a practical way, that means you have to experience a lot of shift in your sort of experience in the present moment. And sometimes change, not sometimes, I would argue most times, change can come in a way that makes us feel like a little insecure at times, especially this level of change. But I feel like we're seeing these messages here to reassure you that even if things feel like they're out of your control and that you might start to feel a little bit insecure, to look for the signs and synchronicities all around you, trying to bring you to a place of peace and a place where you feel grounded. Certain things have to go. I feel like looking at these cards, I'm seeing that there's directional choices you have to make here to come into balance. And that you may have to address certain things in your life very squarely. You may have to look at things and say, because of this, I have to do this. And because of this, I must do this. There seems to be that kind of sort of energy around you. And it's sort of this law of attraction is working here right now, but there are things that are not for you and there are things that are for you. So it's sort of like finding your footing in the balance of all of that this week. Now, when I look at each card individually, I can see that the changes going on around you right now may feel like they're out of your control, okay? And sometimes that happens, so don't fight it. You know what I mean? Like when things feel like they're out of your control, don't fight it, because it actually appears that these changes are for your highest good. So even if you're uncomfortable, try to find the breath. Try to find the grounding so that you can feel, you know, I got this. I can be flexible. I can allow changes outside of my control to happen for my highest good, trusting my higher power is guiding me along this path. So, it's interesting, the message of this card that, even if there are things changing in the structures that you have built your dreams on, all will turn out as it should. So even if you're working on something, which I feel like Capricorn has been working towards something, even if what you're working towards seems to be the area where the changes are happening, allow them, because it feels like things are expanding. It feels like there's an expansion happening here, but that, you might need to acknowledge things a little bit as you see them right now. Do you know what I mean? Like not acknowledging things because they're not as you want them to be is almost, forgive me, is almost a little naive, Capricorn. You can look at things more flexibly. And is that a word, flexibly? With more flexibility. I think that that's what we're seeing in your top row here, is that there are things changing outside of your control to guide you and shift you and move you and redirect you to a pathway that's for your highest good. But you've got to be flexible and go with it. And by sort of refusing to acknowledge things because they're not as you want them to be is sort of like not seeing red flag, or it's sort of like seeing red flags and ignoring them. And you're really being guided to not ignore the signs here. And I feel like that's because there's some area here that can't be overlooked. And we'll jump into the tarot cards to clarify that. But right now it feels like being flexible with your path and your direction, and allowing yourself to be guided maybe towards something that wasn't part of your plan is in your best interest. The idea of being too rigid in your sort of in your approach or your way of thinking is going to sort of result in you feeling a little bit trapped, I think, when you're too rigid to access things for your growth that may not be as you sort of envisioned them, that can make you feel trapped, because then suddenly you're like, but I envisioned it this way. And if it's not happening this way, then I guess it's not happening, period. And then we get really emotionally triggered by that. And then you could end up just sort of feeling defeated, as opposed to sort of being flexible with how your vision is going to unfold and trusting it. Like seeing your higher power card here really enforces that idea to me that you're needing to sort of partner with spirit instead of feeling like, no, it has to be the way I envisioned it. Allow your higher power to guide you and trust that guidance, that it's always leading for your highest good. I do feel like there are signs and synchronicities trying to guide you, and yet, I can't stop looking at this orphaned card that's sitting here, which makes me feel like that's the energy you're carrying right now. That right now you're carrying this energy of feeling loss and feeling like you're having almost an identity crisis, to be like, well, if this isn't going to work out the way I planned it, then what the hell is going on? Who am I? What am I doing? It's one of those moments. It actually feels like so much uncertainty is in your energetic space right now. There's an immense amount of uncertainty, and you're trying to pick a direction from a space where you feel so uncertain. And it almost feels like you could be tempted to go backwards to something that you saw in the past wasn't for you, but you're like, well, maybe that is for me. Maybe I have to go back to that because I don't know what I'm going to do if this doesn't work. And so, there's this idea of the law of attraction and the law of cause and effect in your reading here. So whatever it is that you're really focused on right now could be what you will attract more of. So if you're really sitting in that sense of loss and despair and uncertainty, you could attract more of that instead of sort of focusing on this idea where it may be time for you to sort of, again, partner with spirit, feeling this idea of flexibility. I feel like right now there's a lot of fear in your energetic space, Capricorn. Fear, envy, maybe some procrastination because you're not sure, the uncertainty takes over, and then we you know, it's kind of like procrastination, but it's more rooted in uncertainty. So then we do nothing, right? Instead of continuing to do what we're doing, we stop and we think, well, I don't know where I'm going anymore. This isn't working. I'm feeling a lot of loss. I'm feeling a lot of fear when it comes to being secure. I almost feel like we're going to see some pentacles when we pull your tarot cards, because it feels like financial security could be an issue here. And this idea of feeling powerless over circumstance feels like it's coming up. I feel like, you know, you're using the F word and not that one, but failure. You're using that F word. You're feeling a sense of failure here. And I call it the F word because it's such a damaging feeling to step into, to be like, you know, yeah, this is a lot of uncertainty about success and fear that you are not going to realize this vision. And really, I think it actually just needs some flexibility, not so much sabotage here, because this is going to end up sabotaging, you know, if you let it. It could end up sabotaging things for you because of this sort of criticism, this self-critiquing. Yeah, there is a cause and effect situation happening here. So bring yourself... with the breath, bring yourself down from feeling this level of fear that you're sitting in. And you know, there may be something you need to do to make yourself feel more secure and grounded so that you can keep working on your vision. There just might need to be a small adjustment, you know, making adjustments, being flexible, not too rigid here to make adjustments. This serendipity card on the bottom of the deck is pointing us towards a magical alignment of events. That I feel like that's why we're seeing your higher power card here. Things could be very different around the corner. You know what I mean? Like, you might not be able to see around the corner, but things could be very different than they are today. This is outside of your control, Capricorn. Being flexible and sort of finding your center. Page of Pentacles. Let's get all your tarot cards out and then we'll have a look at them. Ten of Pentacles. I knew we were going to see Pentacles. It feels like that. Queen of Swords, Nine of Swords. Yeah. You're in a heavy headspace right now, Capricorn. You're really wanting to understand the truth of the path you're on, and you're wanting security more than anything. I feel like if you could have a conversation directly with your higher power right now, the thing you would ask for is security. Security and stability. You know, and truth. It's like you want to know the truth about what you're doing and how to do it. And there's so much worry attached to this. There's a lot of fear and worry here. And the bottom of the deck is the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, which tells me that you may have prematurely put the brakes on something because you're like, well, this isn't working. This isn't going to work anymore. I have to change things completely. And you could be procrastinating instead of focusing your energy. You could actually be giving up. It almost feels like there is a giving up vibe here, Capricorn, where, you could be burnt out from hustling and pushing and trying to get something off the ground in a way that makes you feel like you've arrived at the destination. That's sort of what's coming up, is that when am I going to get there? When is this going to happen for me? And there's this idea here that it's really the journey that you're on that's going to help you expand, not so much the focus on the ending or the destination. It's like the pathway needs your attention. You've got a lot of cards here suggesting that you need to pay attention to the signs and synchronicities and how you're being redirected, by your higher power. The Page of Pentacles is really starting us off here by saying that you're manifesting new opportunities and that there is sort of a financial opportunity ahead of you. It might involve a new venture. It might involve adding something to what your vision is already. Again, being flexible here. You may need to make some new connections. You may need to be practical and realistic about what's happening right now and not getting derailed, but just seeing that, like, okay, I need to add something to this for now. I need to explore another source of resources or connection in order to further my overall vision. Instead of feeling like, well, I have to give up and start doing something I don't want to do because this isn't working and nothing ever works for me. And then we go on that path where it's like, nothing ever works for me. I'm always going to be stuck here in this position where I feel loss. No, don't let that go. That seems to be a pattern that I'm seeing in this reading that you slip into easily, Capricorn. And that's fair enough. I get it. But that's not going to serve you at all. Going there is just showing you where there's more work to do on the inside, within. That Nine of Swords in reverse is anchored in fear. This is negative self-talk. This is inner turmoil. This is an inability to think clearly. This is an opportunity to actively begin the healing again. Right here. This is where the healing needs to happen. And, it's interesting. It's hitting you in the security. It's hitting you in financial stability. That's where the fear is anchored. And there could be this idea of you're burning out, you're giving up, and you've lost that focus and determination on the vision that you had because you're focused on how there are losses still. And I almost feel like you're being very critical of yourself. And yet there's the Ten of Pentacles. It's right there. So, when I see that Ten of Pentacles, I can't help but think that this is all going to work out, that you are going to be successful, that there is spiritual and material abundance, that there is this wealth and prosperity that you're building. You are building it. It's just, I feel like you need to be more flexible with how it's all falling into place. Okay, let's clarify some of these cards for Capricorn. Yes, Eight of Swords coming out. You're so afraid of some consequences. You're afraid, and now you're so afraid that it's like you've stopped. You've put the brakes on something because you've overanalyzed it from a fear perspective, that you feel like there's a paralysis that has come by now. You know what I mean? Where you're now frozen in fear. And I feel like that's not going to help. Yeah. Two of Swords on that fork in the road with the Queen of Swords again. Now showing up in reverse to confirm this idea of a lack of clarity and this jaded energy in your thinking that says, well, nothing ever works for me, so why did I think this would work? Do you know what I mean, Capricorn? Like, it's like you have come into this space where there's so much negative self-talk, and you're not able to see eye to eye with your higher self, because it's like you're shutting down. You're shutting down, and instead of being flexible, there's the 8 of Pentacles again on the bottom of the deck. You're hoping for a shortcut, or you're like, I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to give up and do something else. And I feel like that would be short-sighted. But, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with being flexible about your vision, but not abandoning your vision. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about this reading that makes me feel like you're going to abandon something instead of just maybe adding something to it. You know, like, I do feel like you need to address this financial insecurity that you're feeling. I feel like that does need to be addressed in a very practical way. So I'm almost feeling this guidance to say you might want to explore some, like, another income stream that you can add to this, not instead of this, but to add to it. You know, I do feel like whatever it is that you're working on creating for yourself, it's possible and it's happening. You're actually, all of these moments of struggle that you've been facing and why all this fear is coming up, I think is actually because things are getting reorganized for this to be able to succeed. But in the meantime, while things are getting realigned for you, don't give up. You know, that's really coming through strongly. Like, don't give up. Your higher power is reorganizing things so that things are where they need to be, I think, for when this blows up. There is a huge expansion. Page of Pentacles to the 10. You're going from idea to prosperity on something. It's just needing a little flexibility, a little adjustment, not a complete dismantling. And I feel like that's where you could go with this. You could start to separate from something instead of just adding something to it. You know, it's okay to do something to release some of this pressure that you're feeling. But I feel like giving up altogether wouldn't be what the point of this is. That would be a misunderstanding of what's going on, if that makes sense, Capricorn. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this reading has been helpful, Capricorn. If it has, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. I appreciate your support on the channel so much. If you're interested in a personal reading, you can find the link for that in the description below. And as always, Capricorn, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I look forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care. Don't give up. Just be more flexible with what's happening in the day-to-day, and try to release some of that fear through that inner grounding and through connecting with your higher power. Okay, we'll see you in a week. Take care, Capricorn.